live on the YouTube.
Yeah, it's live on YouTube. All right, this is the I.S.U.P.K Wednesday law class. Also, remember, check out Commanding General YAHANNA's radio show, which is Monday, 2 a.m. UK time. Is it coming through? All right, this is the I.S.U.P.K Wednesday law class. Remember, check out Commanding General YAHANNA's radio show, Monday, 2 a.m. There's classes in the States, Tuesday through Friday, midnight. Also here, we got classes Monday, the history class, Wednesday, the law class, Thursday, the scripture breakdown class. And also this Friday, man, we got Hanukkah coming up, man. This Friday, the Feast of Dedication, which will be from B185PW 394 Lodge Road, this Friday, 7 p.m. Everyone be in the building because we're going to be going over there as well. Also going to have the food and everything. Everyone's going to be here. Instead of celebrating Christmas, come and celebrate something that the Lord wants you to celebrate, man.
That's right.
Like, whereas the Feast of Dedication, there's a reason why we celebrate it, man. Same like every other feast day, there's a reason why we celebrate it. You celebrating Christmas and there's no reason why you're celebrating it. Most of you know it's not true, but say, oh, it's for the kids. Most people know it's not true, but oh, it's for the kids. And most people also ain't even in a position to be celebrating Christmas because they can't even afford the things that they want. They're buying all this wrapping paper, wrapping up all these presents. You're wrapping up all these presents for your kids, and then you lie to them and give the credit to an Edomite, man. You give the credit to Santa Claus, man. Some white man that ain't giving black kids nothing, man. Just bullets, man. That's all he gives to black people is bullets and jail time, man. Listen, if Santa was real, he would just be giving black men jail time for Christmas, man. That would be a present, jail time, and the graveyard, man. That's the only thing that they give to black people. So what you do is you go out your way, you buy these presents, you hide them. Most people hide them behind the chair somewhere, coming with big cars, hiding them, saying, oh, I can't wait to see my baby's face on Christmas morning. I can't wait to see my baby's face on Christmas morning. Listen, man, the Lord's mad at you for doing that. The Lord don't want you taking part in no Christmas, no Easter, and no nonsense, man. All these holidays is nothing to do with black and Hispanic people, man. Let Esau have his holidays. Let Esau celebrate whatever he wants to celebrate. And teach your kids like not to feel depressed during Christmas, man. Teach them that what we celebrate is greater than Christmas.
That's right.
And teach them that one day the whole world is going to be keeping our laws, statutes, and commandments, man. The whole world is going to be keeping these laws one day, man. Christmas now, these things, it's going to pass away one day, man. One day celebrating Christmas ain't going to be here no more. One day Easter, you're not going to be doing that no more. One day Thanksgiving, you're not going to be doing that no more. All these things is short-lived. All these things that people are celebrating is only for a season, man. The Lord tells you that in the Bible. The evildoers, let them celebrate and let them do whatever, because the time's coming when the Lord's going to take them out, man. And you don't want the Lord to destroy you as well, man, for celebrating Christmas and whatnot. Give me Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 1. It's the famous, this is the scripture that we go to every Christmas, man. This is the one where we go to. And this is the one where we go to and nobody else goes to, man. Your Christian pastor's probably skipped over this, but he don't ever read it. Go ahead.
The book of Jeremiah 10 and 1. Hear the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel.
So now, the Lord was speaking to the children of Israel, man. Because what? At this time, where was we? We was amongst heathens, and heathens had a belief, man. They had a belief system. Same like we're amongst heathens now, and they've got a belief system. Back then, the Lord told us take heed, because they was trying to rub off their traditions on us. The things that they was afraid of, they was trying to pass it off onto us. And then what would happen? over time, black people began to start to get scared of these things because they heard all these stories. Same like growing up, every black man's heard that story. Oh, if you step on 3 drains in a row, or if you see 2 magpies or whatever, you get bad luck, or if you break a mirror. These is things where over time it starts to stick with you, and before you know it, it's a part of you, and you can't get it out of your head.
That's right.
Also, at this time, we had people like that were scared of these things, so they thought, you know what? Let me just conform, so I don't get that bad luck, so I don't get none of that evil, even though it was all a lie. Because the heathens, what they follow is nonsense, but they teach it to us, and then what happens is black people overcome. Black people follow their pagan beliefs better than the damn heathens do themselves, man. That's what we do. We start to be we start to be over unrighteous, man. That's what we start to be. Go ahead.
Verse 2. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen.
And the Lord said, learn not the way of the heathen. Because which way did the heathen learn? The heathen learned that what? There's a God of the grass, there's a God of the sun, there's a God of the moon. Each animal's a God, a bird in the sky is a God. Night time's a God, daytime's a God. This is a God, that's a God. That's what the heathens learned, because what they didn't have the one God, true God. They didn't have the one true God, so what did they have to do? They had to make up gods in their head, man. They have to make up gods which sounds good to them. They had to make up something. Whereas with us, we didn't have to make up these things. The Lord told us, don't worship the sun and the moon. Don't worship the host of heaven. The Lord told us these things because we have a God. We have a God. It's like it's like what? It's like a woman that's never had a father in her life. What happens? She starts going to different men, man. Starts running through different men. That's these other nations, man. They didn't have a God. They didn't have a God. So what? They just started going and worshiping everything that they see, man. We had a God, man. We have a father, so we don't need to go to nobody else, man. We don't need to go outside of this Bible, man. Go ahead.
And be not dismayed.
And it says, be not dismayed, man. Meaning, don't be afraid, don't be discouraged, don't be scared. Go ahead.
At the signs of heaven.
It says, don't be dismayed at the signs of heaven. Because what happens is, these other nations believe that there's some God that pulls a blanket over the sky and that makes it nighttime. He pulls a curtain over the sky and that makes it nighttime. And if you don't worship the moon, that's what they used to say. If you don't worship the moon, you was crazy and you're gonna get punished and you're gonna become a madman. And that's why the term lunatic, because luna is Latin for moon, and they would call someone a lunatic. When someone was crazy, they would say, you know why that man over there is crazy? And then you would say, why is he crazy? They'll say, because he didn't worship the moon. He didn't believe the moon was this or whatnot. And then what would happen? You'd look at that man and you'd be like, I don't want to be like that man. You'd be like, I don't want to be like that man. And then you would start worshiping the moon. And that's what the Bible says, don't be dismayed at the signs of heaven. Because we was dismayed at these things. Because when you're living amongst the people, you take on their customs, you take on their culture, and you be dismayed at these things that you shouldn't be. Now, nowadays, in 2019, moon worship sounds silly because what? People have kind of moved past it. But now, the same thing they're worshiping now with stones and rocks and a Christian cross. Now, in a few hundred years from now, that's going to sound silly. And then people, if you have a shy and come by, then people's going to start worshiping something else and whatnot. Like now, people hear stuff like, oh, Moloch, they actually sacrificed their kids to him. Why would they do that? To us nowadays, that sounds silly. But back then, to them, that was like Allah today, that was like Allah today, that was. And these Shia Muslims that cut themselves, you know, the ones that cut themselves. Yeah, they cut their head, they put knives on ropes and afflict themselves and cut their head open. What do they say? I can't remember what they say. They said they want to do it because it symbolizes. But basically, they say one of their prophets got killed. Was it Abu Bakr? I can't remember.
That's what they say.
Yeah, that's what they say. They say Abu Bakr got killed, and they do that because they want to feel the pain that he went through and whatnot. Listen, it's a garbage religion, and all these religions is garbage, and all of them worship the moon and the sun, and every religion is attached to some type of moon worship, some type of idol worship. All religions is attached to it. Go ahead.
For the even are dismayed at them.
For the what?
For the heathen are dismayed at them.
Says for the heathens are dismayed at them. So because they're afraid of it, they try and make you afraid of it. And what you're meant to do is look at them and laugh, man. One time, some damn Muslim at my old slavery was telling me, "Oh, because you don't believe in the Quran, look at this video." I said, "What's the video?" He showed me a video of some woman that was in a cage, and they said she's half dog. Have you seen that video?
I heard about it.
Yeah, they say she kicked the Quran, so now Allah punish her and turn her what? Half dog and half human. So that would have you believe that you can't disrespect the Quran because you're going to be half dog and half human. Listen, man, us in General Hazayan throw Quran on the floor and stamp on it, man.
That's right.
Remember that video when he stamped on? Listen, us in General Hazayan stamp on the Quran, man. And guess who came to the defense of the Quran? A black man. Talking about, oh, y'all deserve to be shot in the head. Talking about, y'all deserve to be shot in the head. A black man came to the defense. And this is what happens, man. We join their religions and then we hate our brothers. Go ahead.
Verse 3. For the customs of the people are vain.
And the customs of the people are vain. It's worthless. Everything these nations do is worthless. Santa Claus is nonsense. Santa and his 12 elves is nonsense. And his sleigh that he rides across the sky and his reindeer and whatnot. Listen, man, it's all nonsense, man. All of these things is things that you could Google and get the origin of it, man. It's not hard. You can just Google it and it will give you the origin of it. Go ahead.
For one could utter a tree out of the origin.
And then now this is when they used to have real trees in their house and whatnot. Says for one, cut off a tree out of the forest. One cuts a tree out of the forest, so they'll cut it down, go to the forest, would pay what do they call them? A lumberjack.
Right.
They'll go to a lumberjack whose job it was to cut down trees. He would cut them a tree out of the forest and then give it to them and decorate and whatnot. Go ahead.
The work of the hands of the workmen with the axe.
And listen, the man who works the axe, go ahead.
They deck it with silver and gold.
They deck it with silver and gold. So they decorate these things, tinsel and whatnot. Nowadays, you put tinsel on it. Back then, those people were so afraid that they put silver and gold on it. Back then, they celebrated this because they were so afraid because they thought, what? The spirit of Nimrod is in the tree. And if you don't bring gifts to it and whatnot, his mother would have it every year. If you don't bring gifts to this tree, you'd be cursed and all sorts of evil would happen to you. And that's why the scripture started off with, don't be dismayed and don't be afraid and whatnot. And it's going to say, don't be afraid again. So the Lord's letting you know, listen, don't be afraid of them things. Jeremiah were afraid of no Christmas tree.
That's right.
Jeremiah didn't celebrate Christmas. So now, back at this stage, they didn't put this tree for the kids. They put this tree because they was afraid. Because they was afraid that if they didn't put this tree, and then over time, times have changed now. So now, people put this tree up and say, oh yeah, it's for the kids. They put all the lights on there. They put the star on the top. This star's meant to say it symbolizes what the wise men that came to Yahushua. That's what they claim. That's what they say. You came to the wise. It symbolizes the wise men that came to Yahushua. Listen, if the tree has anything to do with Christ, why are we reading about it in Jeremiah, man? Jeremiah is way before Christ was on the scene, man. Jeremiah is way before he was on the scene. So why are we reading about this tree in Jeremiah if this has any correlation with Christ, man? The truth is this, it doesn't have no correlation. People lie to you and just give you anything. And your whole life you've been taught December 25th is Christmas. We must all gather at grandma's house. You buy everyone a gift. That's what you've been taught. And then one day, your parents would know it's not true and tell you it's for the kids. One day you was that kid, and then now you're telling your kids it's for the kids. When are we going to break the cycle and say Christmas is nonsense and we ain't going to be celebrating it, man? If every black and Hispanic man stopped celebrating Christmas, they would lose out on so much money. The whole world probably would stop celebrating it, man. Black people got all the fancy lights on their house, the reindeer on the roof, the Santa Claus, the LED lights. They've got the whole shebang, man. Talking about for Jesus' birthday. Listen, man. And another thing, when people in the world do birthdays, ain't you supposed to bring gifts to the person whose birthday it is? Why is your kids getting a gift if it's Jesus' birthday, man? Why are you getting yourself a gift if it's meant to be Jesus' birthday? I didn't know you buy gifts for other people whose birthday it's not. I thought people in the world who celebrate birthdays only bring gifts to whoever's birthday it is. But now, what are you doing? Bringing gifts to everybody. So hold on. Basically, Jesus' birthday is not really Jesus' birthday. It's just everybody's birthday. That's what you're basically saying. Everybody's day for them to give gifts. Everybody's day for everyone to be merry. For the family to act like they love one another. For everyone to act like they're cool. When really the family ain't seen each other for years, man. Really, the family ain't as close as that family picture that you've got on the wall. That Christmas picture that you've got on the wall. Really, the family ain't that tight, man. We know, man. Go ahead. Go ahead.
There's a fact that a lot of house fights happen around that time. Christmas Day, New Year's Day, New Year's Eve. That's where it really pops up.
Exactly. That's when you find out your brother's been sleeping with your wife around the Christmas table, man. One of them's had one too much to drink, and then you find out, man. That's where Christmas gets you, man. Honestly, Christmas is a disgusting holiday, man.
That's right.
It's a disgusting holiday, and come and find out what the what the Lord wants you to celebrate, man. Feast of dedication this Friday. That's what the Lord wants you to celebrate.
Right.
Celebrate something real, man. Go ahead.
They fasten it with nails and with hammers.
So they used to take this tree out the forest, would fasten it with nails and hammers. You know why? Because this tree can't stand up by itself. It will topple over. Nowadays, you just pull it on that stand. Nowadays, you pull it on the square stand when you buy it from Argos.
That's right.
Back then, what they used to do is what? Fasten it with nails and hammers so it don't move. Go ahead.
That it move not. They are upright as the palm tree, but they speak not.
So the upright as the palm tree, but they speak not. So now, this tree's been cut out the forest, and it don't speak. It's fastened with nails and hammers, and it don't speak. The Lord's telling you that it don't speak because what? Back then, people believed that if you don't bring gifts, there's going to be some type of punishment. Not realizing that how the Lord works is if you do bring gifts, there's going to be a punishment. They teach you the opposite, that if you don't bring gifts, you're going to receive a punishment. Listen, the Lord says he will punish you for your iniquities. And it's an iniquity for you to bring a gift to a Christmas tree, man. It's an iniquity for you to put a Christmas tree up in your living room. Anywhere, it's a sin for you to put up one everywhere, man. Go ahead.
They must needs be born.
And listen, man, this tree can't harm you. It must needs be born, meaning it has to be carried. Someone has to pick this tree up and carry it, man. This tree doesn't move by itself. If you leave this tree there, it's still going to be there in 50 years' time, man, because it can't move. There's no life in it. Back then, people was afraid of the tree. Go ahead.
Because they cannot go.
And listen, they need to be carried because they cannot go. They can't go themselves. Go ahead.
Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil. No, either also is it in them to do good.
See, they can't do evil, and neither is it in them to do good. Go ahead. Meaning what? This tree can't do evil and can't do good because it can't do a damn thing. So back then, people's afraid of it. Jeremiah's letting them know, look, man, this tree can't do evil and it can't do good because there's no life in it. It can't move. You have to carry it if you want it to go. So don't be afraid of it. Go ahead.
For as much as there is none like unto thee, O Lord, thou art great, and thy name is.
So listen,
great.
it goes, there's none like unto the Lord, man. Listen, the Lord lives, man. The Lord can move. The Lord can go. The Lord doesn't need to be carried. The Lord doesn't need to be fastened with nails like your Christmas tree and all these idols. The Lord doesn't need to be fastened with nails, man. The Lord can come and go as he pleases. That's it. Anyone that?
That's it.
Give me Romans chapter 11 and verse 8.
Romans 11 and 8, according as it is written, God hath given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see.
Read that one more time.
Romans 11 and 8, according as it is written, God hath given them the spirit of slumber.
And listen, man, most people's been given the spirit of slumber. Most people can't see, man. Most people are asleep out here, 50 and still celebrating Christmas, man. 50 and still celebrating Christmas. And another thing is this, even in the school nativity plays that your kids go to, Ain't no black kid ever played Jesus yet, man. I say it every year, they do not let the black kid play Jesus, man. Guess who the black kid has to play? The sheep, the camel, and that's about it.
That's right.
A black kid don't even get to play the three wise men, man. And they sure don't get to play Jesus. They sure don't get to play Joseph. They sure don't get to play Mary. They don't get to play the big characters, man. Black people just get to play the sheep, the camel, and all you would do is sit there and wave a leaf. Go ahead.
On the back of that, a friend of mine, you know what I mean, she knows like how I stay on holidays, but a daughter of hers, she was in the play and she was in the background singing, like, you know what I mean, that's the best that they could only do for someone who
see, background singing, imagine that. When really, YAHANNA is the same race of these kids that they're not even letting play him, man. And this is the thing, man. The plot twist is what? They want you to believe Jesus is white on all fronts. They want you to believe he's white on all fronts, man. Go ahead.
Eyes that they should not see.
Eyes that what?
They should not see.
And listen, man. Many of people out here can't see, man. Many, listen, speak to your grandma. She just can't understand how Christmas is so wrong. You can try telling her, but she just ain't going to understand. But someone like you that can see, you shouldn't never do it, man. The Lord's opened your eyes for a reason. So if the Lord's opened your eyes and made you see that Christmas is wrong, and then you then go and close your eyes, the Lord's going to have a punishment for you, man. The Lord opened your eyes for a reason. He ain't opened everybody's eyes. Some people have what? The spirit of slumber. Read that one more time.
The Lord have given them the spirit of slumber.
Listen, man, there's many people out here who's asleep, man. Plenty of people, they have the spirit of slumber, man. Go ahead.
Eyes that they should not see.
And listen, most people can't see that what? A Christmas tree is wrong because they've got the spirit of slumber on them. But you, who can see it, to be fair, most people can see it. They just turn a blind eye to it. They just want to do it because what? They don't want to let their kids down. And if you're a man and you just don't want your baby mom to say, oh, he's useless, he didn't get the kids a gift for Christmas, he's a deadbeat dad. Listen, you could be at every single appointment, you could be at every single parents' evening, every single event, but you miss Christmas, that woman is gonna belittle you, man. And then most men can't take being belittled, and they don't want their kids to hate them. So what do they do? Celebrate Christmas. And then guess what happens? Them kids end up hating you in the end anyway, man.
That's right.
Besides, you say the presents from Santa Claus anyway, so what's the point of you breaking your back? And you ain't even getting the credit for it. Some non-existent guy is getting the credit for it, man. Some guy that you claim comes down the chimney and he left the presents in the night. It's all fairy tales. Look how silly it sounds. And all these go ahead, excuse me. Oh yeah, no sir. And all these songs as well, he knows when you're sleeping, he knows when you're awake. That sounds like a child molester to me, man. He knows when you're sleeping, he knows when you're awake, he knows when you've been good, he knows when you've been bad. All those songs sounds like something a pedophile would sing, man. A child molester would sing. He knows when you're sleeping, he knows when you're awake. So you mean to tell me you're teaching your kids that what? Santa Claus comes in their bedroom at the night time and gives them and gives them a gift. Listen, man, if you're teaching your kids that, don't be surprised when what? A child molester enters your children's room and your children don't cry out for help. You know why? Because you program them to believe in, you know what, this guy could be Santa Claus, and all it takes is for a child molester to come in your house with a little a little wrapped box and say, oh, don't make no noise, this is your Christmas present, I'm Santa. And you've taught your kids what? Santa's this, Santa's that, and they're just gonna what? Lie down there and get molested, man. You better teach your kids the truth, because you're putting your kids in harm's way, man. Letting them go to any devil, man. Letting them sit on devil's laps. Taking them to Santa's grotto. There's a place called Santa's grotto where the whole theme is a Santa Claus theme where they got all the lights, the reindeers, the sleigh, and then the kids sit on Santa's lap, and then he gives them gifts and all of that nonsense. Listen, man, teach your kids Christmas is garbage. Honestly, if you don't teach your kids that, you're going to ruin them, man. From there, we're going to go to Romans chapter 10 and verse 1. Let me get Romans chapter 10. The book of Romans, chapter 10 and verse 1. Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to God for Israel is that they might be saved. So what? Paul prayed that Israel might be saved, man. He said his heart's desire is that Israel will be saved, man. It says, for I bear them record that they have a zeal of God. Now, Israelites have a zeal of God, man. Israelites have a zeal of God. Israelites want to serve God, but they just don't know how to, man. Or they do it the wrong way. They have a zeal of God. Christians, most of them, some of them actually believe that what? Christmas is Jesus' birthday and he wants them to celebrate it. I mean, when you go to a church, you can see that these black people have the zeal but no knowledge, man. You can see that they have the zeal and no knowledge, man. Too much zeal and no knowledge.
That's right.
That's what they have, man. And this is why they need to come in here and learn the proper way. They need to learn what to celebrate and what not to celebrate. Give me Romans chapter 10 and verse 1.
Romans 10 and 1. Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to God for Israel is that they might be saved. For I bear them record that they have a zeal of God, but not according to knowledge.
They have a what?
A zeal of God, but not according to knowledge.
And listen, man, they've got a zeal of God, but not according to knowledge. Black people want to serve God, but they don't know how to, man. They think Christmas is them serving God. And listen, man, let me tell you something else, man. Everybody knows the put up who Caesar Borgia as what? The face of Jesus Christ. Listen, man, Caesar Borgia's birthday ain't even in December, man.
That's right.
Listen, the guy Christians worship, that Edomite who Christians worship, his birthday is September. I'm sure it's September, right? He's born in September, man. Caesar Borgia's born in September. So I don't understand. If you celebrating, and they will tell you that that's Jesus. So ask a Christian this. If this white man's Jesus and his birthday is in September, why are you celebrating it in December? It's something don't sound right, man. There's loads of inconsistencies, man. His birthday is in September, but you're celebrating it in December. It don't make no sense. And that's who they worship, that image, man. That's who they look at as their God. Caesar Borgia, who was born September, I believe, 24th or something along them date. September, man. Listen, for you Christians, you cause Caesar Borgia as your Lord and Savior. His birthday is gone already, man. And December 25th, listen, man, it's the day they worship Nimrod. It's got nothing to do with Jesus Christ, man. So you mean to tell me, all throughout the Bible, Yahushua died at about 33 years old, right?
That's right.
Show me one birthday that is celebrated. Someone show me one of his. Hold on. So you mean to say it's his birthday? Show me when Joseph said, "This is the present I've got for my kid." Show me when Mary said, "This is the present I've got for my kid." Show me. And the only thing you are going to show me is what? The wise men bringing gifts. Listen, man, if you know anything about kings, every time people go to see a king, they bring a gift, man. And also, the kings didn't get to him on his birthday also, man. That's another misconception. It's the same like when what? I think it was the Vietnamese or the Chinese when they came to see the Queen of England. They brought, it was that the Africans, they brought her some wooden nonsense as a gift. It's people paying tribute to the king. You come see the king, you come with a gift, man. Same like what? When Sheba came to Solomon, what did she bring? She brought him a gift. When Sheba came to see King Solomon, she brought him a gift. So lucky, would you be able to pull that on for me? I can't remember where it is. It must be king somewhere, yeah. Or you can put any other one where anyone went to a king and brought them. Because it's what happens when you go to a king, man. When you go to a king, you don't want to go to that king empty-handed, man. You want to go there and give that king something, man. You know why? Because you want that king to do you some favors in the future, man. You don't go to a king empty-handed. And that's why the wise men brought gifts to Christ, man. Listen, if those men were celebrating Christmas, they wouldn't be wise, man. They wouldn't be wise. So yeah, I can't remember where it is. But it's just how it goes. You go to a king or you go to a queen, you bring a gift. Just look at what everybody's brought for the Queen of England. They brought her tons of gifts, man. And these wise men was doing the same thing, man. They was bringing gifts to the king, man, because they knew who he was. They knew exactly who he was, so that's why they was bringing gifts. Don't think it was for his birthday and whatnot. If it was for his birthday, why didn't it say they brought a gift a year later, and the year later, and the year later? Exactly, man. All these fairy tales is nonsense, man. Honestly, we need to wake up and stop being so simple.
Right. 1 Kings 10:1.
I thought it was that one as well, is it?
Right. 1 Kings 10:1. And when the queen of Sheba heard of the aim of Sir Solomon.
And listen, man, Queen Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon. She heard of the fame of Solomon. She heard that this man was wise. This man was breaking things all the way down. This man was a great king. This man was riding with the Most High, which means what makes him even more wise, man. The wisest man of the East Country to say. Go ahead.
Concerning the name of the Lord, she came to prove him with hard questions.
So she came to prove him with hard questions. She came to ask him hard questions, thinking, okay, then, I've heard about his fame. Let's see if this man can answer all these hard questions I got for him. Let's see if this man can answer all these hard questions I got for him. Go ahead.
And she came to Jerusalem with a very great terrain.
And she came to Jerusalem with a very great, what is it, train? With a very great train, man. Go ahead.
With camels that bear spices.
So she came with camels that bear spices. She came with gifts for the king, man. She didn't bring it because it was Solomon's birthday. She brought these gifts because she was coming to see a king, man.
That's right.
And she knows you want to be on the right side of the king. Right. And those wise men brought gifts to Christ for the same reason. Same way, all these nations is going to bring all their riches into Jerusalem, man. They're going to bring all their riches to us. It says the gates is going to be open so we can take the force of the Gentiles.
That's right.
Meaning they're going to bring all of that to us, man. You know why? Because they know we decide if they get food tonight, man. They know we decide if they get water, if they get this, if they get that. Go ahead.
And the every much gold.
And what?
And the every much gold.
And also, man, came with very much gold, man. She came with gold, man. Listen, everybody's always talking about, oh, what? Gold comes from Africa. Okay, listen, I hope it does, because you're going to be bringing it to the land of Israel, man. You're going to be bringing it to us, man. You claim, oh, the gold is in Africa. Listen, I don't care where all the gold is. I just know where all the gold's going, man. All the gold is going to the land of Israel.
That's right.
So you heathens that like to brag about, because my land produces this, that's good, because you're going to be bringing it to our land. You like to brag about your land produces all the gold, the silver, the oil, the this. Don't worry, we're going to have all of it, man. Everything that these other nations' land produces, we're going to take all of it, man.
That's right.
Every last drop of it. So you telling me, oh, this land is good, it produces this. Well, if it produces it, that's good, because you're going to carry it to my land and I'm going to take it off you. Your land's going to produce it and I'm going to take it. That's how it's going to go, man. All of this happy about the gold is African and blah, 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 blah. And they found the diamond. I said, what did they say? The diamond that's in the Queen's hat comes from Africa. Have you heard about that one? Yeah, they tell you the diamond. I can't remember how much they said it cost, something $1 billion. The diamond in the Queen's hat comes from Africa. Guess what? Well, that's coming where? That's coming to the land of Israel, man.
That's right.
That diamond's coming to the land of Israel. Go ahead.
And precious stones.
And precious stones. She came with precious stones also. No cubic zirconia. She came with precious stones, man. Rubies and so forth. None of that fake diamonds. She came with real stuff, man. She ain't gonna insult Solomon by bringing cubic zirconia, man. Go ahead.
And when she came to Sir Solomon, she communed with him of all that was in her heart. So she communed with him. She communicated with him. And listen, man, you have a ton of fake Israelites and Rastafarians saying that Solomon had a kid with Sheba. Listen, that's a lie. It's nowhere in the Bible. You can read the Bible front to back and you will never see it, man. You will never ever see it. This Menelik is not
a son of Solomon, man. This Menelik has nothing to do with the Bible, man. It's all a lie. This is what Rastafarians try to use to link Selassie to the Bible. They like to say, because Solomon and Sheba had a love child, and it was Menelik, and down the line, Selassie comes from. Listen, all of that is philosophies and lies, man. You find out that it tells you that in what's that book called that they read? Kebra Nagas, yeah. That's in the Kebra Nagas, some silly Rastafarian book. When all Rastas do is get high. All they do is get high and smoke weed. They smoke so much weed that in the Bible, when it says in Genesis, I gave you herbs for meat, Rastas think that means roll up a spliff. That should let you know that their understanding is already flawed, man. That should let you know that whatever they say, you can't really listen to it, man. Go ahead.
Verse 3, and Sir Solomon told her all her questions.
And Solomon answered all her questions, man. Did we get the main part on that? Yeah, the main part is she came to him with gifts. Not because it was his birthday, because he was the king. Same like them wise men in the scriptures came to Christ with gifts. Because what? He was the king. Not because of his birthday. They didn't even come on the day of his birthday. You can drop that, go to Amos chapter 5 and verse 21. So yeah, and also I'm sure, I'm sure. And when the wise men did come, he was back in his hometown at that time. Christ was born in where? Bethlehem, and obviously he was back in his hometown when the wise men came, which lets you know it weren't on the same day. They came after what? They came after Mary's after they were circumcised and everything, which lets you know it had nothing to do with her birthday. If you read it properly, if you read the account in Luke and the account in Matthew. I'm going to go into it next week. I've got it written down, but I'll go more into that next week. But go ahead.
Amos 5 and 21. I despise your feast days.
Oh, what?
I despise your feast days.
Listen, man. The Lord said he despises your feast days, man. He hates them, man. Christmas, God said he hates it. Easter, God said he hates it. All the other ones that you celebrate, God said he hates it, man. He hates it with a passion. Go ahead.
I despise your feast days.
The Lord said that he despises your feast days because why? He ain't gave you them. That's what you've chose to celebrate. So the Lord's telling you how much he hates them. Go ahead.
And I will not smell in your solemn assemblies.
And the Lord said, listen, he ain't even going to smell in your solemn assemblies. The things that you hold to such high regards, the Lord don't care about them, man. He don't want you celebrating them. People esteem Christmas as what? The greatest holiday on the face of the earth. Christmas is what? In Great Britain and everywhere else, Christmas is so great that what? Even the Arabs celebrate Christmas, man.
That's right.
Even Chinese people celebrate Christmas. Muslims celebrate Christmas, which lets you know what? That all these nations have the mark of the beast. Which lets you know that's what the mark of the beast is, man. All these nations have it. You mean to tell me you're an Arab from a war-torn country, so they like to say, and you're out here celebrating Christmas, buying gifts? Because really, Arabs is Christians, man. All of these people is exactly the same. All religions, you can lump them into Christianity. They're all near enough the same. Go ahead.
Though ye offer me burnt offerings and your
and now
offerings.
This is when what people used to offer burnt offerings back then, when people used to offer sacrifices and whatnot. Nowadays you don't do that. You just do what? You just sit around the table, everybody holds hands. What do they say? Say grace. Listen, man, that's no way in the Bible, man. These are hold hands and say grace and pray and thank the Lord for the pork on the table, for the shrimp and the crab and everything on the table. That's what they do, man. Unclean foods, first of all, and a pagan holiday, man. You're just adding sin onto sin. Go ahead.
I will not accept them, nay, either will I regard the peace offering.
And the Lord said he will not accept them, man. The Lord said he will not what? Accept what they have to offer him, man, what they're trying to offer him. He ain't going to accept your peace offerings. He ain't going to accept, oh, you thank you, Lord, for making me see another Christmas. The Lord don't want to hear that, man. The Lord's looking down at you in disgust, man. Go ahead.
Take thou away from me the noise of thy songs.
Listen, man, the Lord don't want to hear your Christmas songs. What are they? Last Christmas I gave you my heart and whatnot. That man died on Christmas Day, right? He died on Christmas Day as well. So last Christmas he gave his heart away, he was dead the next Christmas. Listen, man, the Lord don't want to hear them Christmas songs. What's it? Go ahead.
What's one a wonderful,
A wonderful Christmas time, yeah.
Them kids can't sing them songs. Dreadful.
It's terrible. I hear it. Every day I'm a slavery to play it. Why is it everybody's having a wonderful Christmas time? And you hear and then you hear the bells in the background. Listen, man, the Lord don't want to hear them Christmas songs. The Lord don't want you putting on the top 40 Christmas hits. The Lord don't care that Mariah Carey's got a version that every woman loves so much. You heard it, Mariah Carey's version. Did Beyonce have a version too?
Yeah, no, it was Destiny's Child.
Was it Destiny's Child? On the first day of Christmas, my baby gave to me or something.
Yeah.
Listen, man, the Lord don't want to hear about the first day of Christmas. What your baby gave to you. What the Lord wants is you women to do is what? Be in order, man. That's what the Lord wants, man. The Lord wants to hear you women being in order. The Lord don't want to hear about about the first day of Christmas, what your baby gave to you, blah, 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 blah. The Lord said they don't hear them songs, man. What the Lord wants to hear is what? That you ain't putting your man on child support, man. The Lord wants to hear that you ain't kicking a black man out the house. The Lord wants to hear that, man. That you ain't being a whore, opening your legs to every man, that every man that buys you a drink at the bar. The Lord wants to hear that, man. The Lord don't want to hear about what your baby gave to you on the first day of Christmas. The Lord hates all that nonsense, man. Go ahead.
For I will not hear the melody of thy violence.
Listen, man, the Lord ain't hearing the melody of your tunes, man. The Lord ain't feeling them, man. The Lord ain't hearing your prayers. He's not hearing your Christmas songs. He's not hearing no melodies. He don't care that what this is your grandma's last Christmas, so you feel the need to celebrate. The Lord don't care about that. The Lord would rather you keep his law, statutes, and commandments, man. Go ahead.
But let judgment run down as waters.
The Lord said, let judgment run down as waters, man. Let judgment run down as waters. Judgment for what? For celebrating Christmas, man. Judgment for what? Celebrating Easter. You want to know what? You want to know why? You want to know why your house is setting on fire with them Christmas lights? Because the Lord's making judgment run down as waters, man. You want to know why? You're getting evicted. Because the Lord's making judgment run down as waters. Most of you do this. Most of you spend your rent money on Christmas presents and then do what? End up trying to make up for it the whole paying it off for the next 2-3 years, man. Paying down for the next 2-3 years, and the next year you add the next 3 years that you have to pay down on it. Then after that, the next 3 years that you have to pay down on it. How about this? Don't celebrate Christmas and keep your money, man. It's not hard. Honestly, I promise you this. If you don't make your kids celebrate Christmas, it's not the end of the world. Right. Your kids ain't gonna die if they don't get a Christmas present, man. Besides, you buying them cheap gifts anyway. Listen, growing up, my grandma, she used to get everyone a pack of boxes, some cheap boxes for Christmas. That's all black people get. That's all black men get for Christmas is some cheap boxes or some socks. That's it, man. Listen, I had an uncle that was back then. I was about 7, 8. He must have been about 30, 40. And he was happy opening socks for Christmas. I was looking at him like, the socks on the packet says the socks was like £4. So you waited all year to what? For a £4 pair of socks? Listen, man, don't be so simple. It's the silliest thing ever. It's childish. Christmas is childish, and stop teaching your kids it. Go ahead.
And righteousness as a mighty stream.
And righteousness as a mighty stream, man. And it's righteous to not celebrate Christmas. It's righteous to not celebrate Easter. It's righteous to not celebrate none of those. Give me Colossians chapter 3 and verse 1. My brother had a question online. He said, what does the mark of the beast look like? I'm going to tell you what the mark of the beast looks like. People that's celebrating Christmas, celebrating Easter, Thanksgiving, Christians, everybody that's going against the Lord, everybody that's doing what? Fighting for their oppressor and serving him and doing his will. That's the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast, it ain't a microchip. People like to say it's a microchip, but that's a lie. The mark of the beast is what? You taking on the philosophy of the other nations. You following the beast, whereas the beast is what? A nation. You doing what they do. That's you having their mark. How do you have the mark of God? By doing what God requires you to do. And on the left-hand side, the mark of the beast is what? By doing what the other nations require you to do. That's what it is. People lie to you and tell you, oh, it's a RFID chip. When that's a lie, that's not in the Bible. The mark of the beast is what? You following the philosophies of the other nations, celebrating Christmas. That's how you know a man's got the mark of the beast, because you'll see him celebrating Christmas. You'll see him celebrating Easter. You'll see him being a homosexual. You'll see him going to the LGBT march. By his actions, that lets you know he's got the mark of the beast, meaning what? He's carrying out the actions of the beast. He's doing what the beast wants him to do. And in Christianity, they teach you that this beast is what? A literal beast, right? They teach you that this is a literal beast with 7 heads. The beast is just what? Esau and his governments and his armies and whatnot and his power structure. That's what that's what the beast is. It's not some dragon with 7 heads. In Revelations, it describes it as that because Revelations is a spiritual book, so it's describing it to you. But that's what it's talking about. It's talking about Esau. That's who it is. The church will have you believe that what you have to wait for a dragon with heads, and one of its heads is going to be wounded. One of its heads was wounded when the Roman Empire fell. That's what that's talking about when it says one of its heads will be wounded. One of its heads was wounded when the Roman Empire fell. And then after that, they rose back up into power, became a beast, and that's who they are today. Go ahead.
Colossians 3:1. If ye then be risen with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ sitteth on the right hand of God.
Read on.
Verse 2. Set your affection on things above.
Set your affection on things above, man. Set your affection on things above, man. What you need to be doing is what's pleasing to God, instead of doing what's pleasing to Esau and whatnot. Christmas is what? It's pleasing to your kids because what their mom taught them. Don't be doing none of that stuff, man. Go ahead.
Pleasing. Set your affection on things above, not on things on the earth. Listen,
man. We set our sights on things of the earth, on all of this nonsense. We want to do all this garbage. The Lord don't want us to do none of that. Go ahead.
Verse 3. For ye are dead, and your life is hid with Christ.
And once you come into the truth, you're dead to this world, man. You're dead to sin, meaning what? You can't be doing those things no more. You can't be low-key celebrating Christmas, low-key celebrating Easter, talking about, oh, I'm only going for the food. I seen some lunatic on Facebook talking about she goes around to her families on Christmas to spread the truth. She goes around to spread the truth. Listen, man, if that was the case, you could go around any other day of the year. They're talking about you Israelites that stay away from your family on Christmas is being over righteous. Why wouldn't you go there and spread the truth? Oh, I scratch my head. I scratch my head and I look for the unfriend button. I scratch my head and I just unfriended her straight away. People like these lunatics had some damn Yiddish name as well. I just looked at her and scratched my head straight away. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And that's a lie. She
exactly.
She's eating with it like
exactly.
All right. You got your life is hid with Christ in God when Christ, who is our life, shall appear.
Listen, man, Christ, who is our life, shall appear. And listen, don't think he's coming back like the movies make out. He's coming back to give everyone hugs and kisses and hold hands with everyone. That's movies. That's a lie. He's coming back angry. He's coming back angry, man. He's coming back to make war. He ain't coming back on no friendship thing. He ain't coming back to hold hands and give kisses and whatnot. He ain't coming back that way. That's a lie. That's all movies. That's not how a black man who's coming for vengeance is going to return. Listen, you know how when a black man pulls up and ghost rides the car, and listen, Yahushua is coming back on a white horse, man. Lets you know he's going to come, he's going to jump off that horse, and listen, he's going to be putting people to death and to flight, and you don't want to be on the left-hand side in that day. You don't want to be found with a Christmas tree in your house in that day. If Christ comes back on December 25th, you Christians is going to be opening your hands thinking it's his birthday, and honestly, you're going to realize it's not his birthday and it's going to be too late for you. Which is why stop doing all that nonsense from now. Go ahead.
That's right. Who's alive? Then shall ye also appear with him in glory.
And listen, man, you see all of us in the truth that people look down upon. These men are bums. These men are these men are low. These men are poor. These men just go on the street and yell every week. All these men do is shout. People come to the camp, say, "Go get a job." These men, you laugh at our dress code. You laugh at us and say we're crazy. We're going to be coming with Christ in glory, man. One day you're going to realize them same black men that you looked at as on them corners. You're going to see us coming back with crowns on our head, man. You're going to see these men that stood so stiff and righteously for the Lord. The people that you laughed at. You're going to be trying to hide your face just in case we recognize you, man. Just in case I'm like, hold on, ain't you that one that used to say we're just like Power Rangers? Listen, man, you're gonna regret it in that day. You're gonna be denying it, man. You're gonna be denying it in that day, man. Those men that stand so stiffly for this word, they're gonna appear with Christ in glory, man. Whereas now, like when Christ was on the earth, he wasn't in his glory, but when he comes back, he's coming back glorified, man. He's coming back on a white horse, tall, looking like the man. He's coming back, man, that way. And he's going to see those same people that pierced him, man. And they're going to be like, damn. And the same people that these other nations had as slaves, same people that people looked at as nothing, 3/5 of a man, deserve to be everyone's slaves, the same people the police like to shoot dead in the streets. These black men is going to be coming back with Jesus Christ, man. In glory, man. Meaning what? You see how you see us now? Listen, we ain't even in our glory and we're still better than all these nations right now. We ain't even in our glory and we're just better than every other nation. Move better than every other nation. Dress better, look better, talk better, do everything better, man. We give this earth flavor and salt. Just imagine how much flavor this earth is going to have when we're in our rightful position, man.
That's right.
Just imagine with slaves and everybody wants to copy us. We slaves and everybody wants to copy us, which is saying what? That we what? Special, man. We are special people because we're meant to be the slaves of the earth. And what does everybody do? Copies our dress sense. Copies the way we rap. Copies the way we sing. Whereas now, even what? Africans have started rapping now. Even now, you got these artists like Burna Boy and Dave trying to speak Patois now. You heard them? Trying to speak Patois now. Now, when do us Caribbean people in the UK ever try to speak like Africans? We don't. You know why? Because they ain't got nothing to give, man. They ain't got no style, no flavor. When do we ever try to dress like Africans? Never, man. And the ones that do, they're silly. But when do Africans try to dress like us? Every single day, man. Really? Esau made peak hats for you to wear them forwards, man. Us black men started wearing them to the back, man. And then guess what now happens? They changed the name to a snapback, and now even people from Poland is wearing their hat backwards now, man. People from Poland even put their hat back now. All these things they learn from us, man. And we meant to be the disgusting, low slave people of the earth. Aki's supposed to be saltfish is supposed to be slave food. Guess what happens? They gave us that as slave food. Black people cook it so good that our oppressors come to our food shops and order it, man. Not even the small portion, they order the large portion now, man. Because everything we touch turns into gold, man. We cook the best. And this is why where you go, Jamaican food is what regarded as what? Some of the best food in the world, man. I would say it's the best food in the world, man. Nothing beats Jamaican food, man. The best food in the world, man. And we just meant to be slaves with no decorum, with nothing. Go ahead.
Now, even the tracksuit, really even to wear for athletic, when you're running, you wear it every day. And first, people after like, look at you, man. You know what I mean? What athletics are you doing?
Exactly.
And now, to wear a tracksuit on the road, it's normal.
Exactly.
And it's Israel that started that.
Exactly. And another thing with tracksuits, when we wear them, we make it look cool. But when these other nations wear them, it looks so chavvy and it looks horrible and it looks so oversized and Benefit Street. Yeah, that's how theirs look. It's all Benefit Street. They have their jogging bottoms tucked in their socks. And listen, man, they copy everything we do, man. Go ahead.
Verse 5, mortify, therefore your members.
That means discipline yourself, man. Go ahead.
Which are upon the earth.
Discipline your members which are upon the earth, meaning what? Have some self-discipline, man. Have some self-discipline. Go ahead.
For fornication, uncleanness.
Fornication, uncleanness. You see, all of these things happen during the Christmas period, man. The most fornication happens during the Christmas period. Obviously, your wife goes to a Christmas work party, has sex with her boss. She has sex with her boss and comes back to you. And then what else happens? The Christmas party, your Christmas family, the Christmas day. What happens? Everyone's having sex with everyone, and so forth. Go ahead.
Inordinate affection, evil concupiscence,
Go ahead.
covetousness, witches,
and celebrating Christmas and putting presents under the tree, man. That same Christmas tree you put in your house, man, it's on, decorate it. It's the highlight of your living room. Look how nice my Christmas tree is. Go ahead.
For which things sake the wrath of God could come upon the children of disobedience.
And listen, man, because of those things, the wrath of God comes upon the children of disobedience. Meaning what? You keep being disobedient, the Lord's going to punish you, man. I know you love your kids, but you can love them without getting them a Christmas present, man.
That's right.
You can love them without what? Buying them Easter eggs. Honestly, your kids won't. You listen. Honestly, your kids wouldn't even know about Christmas if that woman you was with wasn't teaching them the none. I was like, oh, I don't get Christmas presents, but guess what? I didn't really care, man, because I used to have whatever I wanted any other day of the year. You can buy your kid a PlayStation any other day of the year, man. You don't have to buy it and hide it and wrap it up and put it under the tree. And I can't wait to see my baby's face on Christmas. All of this nonsense, man. It's idolatry and God hates it. And if you're celebrating Christmas, you hate God. And Jesus wasn't born December the 25th. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but Jesus wasn't born December the 25th. And he didn't celebrate his own birthday, so why are you celebrating it? If it was his birthday, hypothetically speaking, he didn't celebrate it, so why are you celebrating it? I'm going to show you what Jesus Christ celebrated every year. He celebrated the Passover.
That's right.
It tells you that in the Bible that his family went up to keep the Passover every year. That's what they celebrated. He didn't celebrate his birthday, man. Go ahead.
In the which ye also walked sometime when ye lived in them.
Sometimes now, in the past, brothers did what? Celebrated all sorts of nonsense, smoked all sorts of drugs and whatnot. But now, once you come to the truth, all those things have to stop. Go ahead.
I'll say that with the Bible is so heavy, it's letting us know that God has an issue with how we live.
Exactly.
Which in religion, you don't get taught those things. Well, like,
exactly.
God cares about the big things, and God cares about how we live in the ghettos.
Exactly.
Aston, Moss-Side, Brixton. The issue he has is our lifestyle.
Exactly.
It's right here.
Exactly. And the reason we're in these places is because of our lifestyle. The reason why we're in England as slaves is because of our lifestyle. If we just serve God, we'll be out of this place. Go ahead.
Verse 8. But now ye also put off all these.
Where's the one that says you have been spoiled through for Colossians 2 and 8? So like, I read the wrong one. I was meant to be reading 2 and 8. So lucky.
Colossians 2 and 8. Beware lest any man spoil you.
It says beware lest any man spoil you. Because tons of our people have been spoiled, man. Go ahead. Through philosophy. Listen, man. Christmas is philosophy. Easter is philosophy. I'm going to tell you how it's philosophy. Listen. Santa and the elves don't even have nothing in common. They're from two different folklores. The elves come from what? And from Germanic mythology. The elves come from Germanic mythology. They believe that these people were small and they would turn into princes one day, and they couldn't die. And they believe that these elves could only die if from being heartbroken. They believe these elves could only die from being heartbroken. And then when you look at the story of elves, the origin of it, it tells you that it's folklore, which means it's false. So if Santa had 12 elves, wouldn't that make Santa false also?
That's right.
So Santa also is folklore. And then also, reindeers don't fly, man. Reindeers don't fly, man. And reindeers have a top speed of what? Is it about 40 or 50 miles per hour? Reindeers' top speed is 40 miles per hour. And then they tell you that Santa's sleigh goes what? About 5,000 miles per hour. They tell you that Santa's sleigh goes 5,000 miles per hour. How does it go 5,000 miles per hour if Rudolph can only run 40 miles per hour, man?
That's right.
And Rudolph don't fly. It should let you know that the Christmas story is garbage, man. It should let you know it's philosophy. Read that again.
Beware, lest any man spoil you.
Listen, man, you've been spoiled with these Christmas stories, man. These Christmas stories have spoiled you, teaching you that what? Santa, what? He moves at the speed of lightning, right? Is that to say?
Yeah.
Santa moves at the speed of lightning to deliver all the presents before midnight. What does the Bible say?
Beware, lest any man spoil you.
Listen, man, whoever told you that story, man, they spoiled you, man. They robbed you of a decent understanding, man. They robbed you of your manhood, man. They've spoiled you, man. Go ahead.
Through philosophy.
Santa Claus is what?
Philosophy.
Easter's what?
Philosophy.
Alf's is what?
Philosophy.
Listen, man, all of this is philosophy. All of this is lies and philosophy. It's a nice story that sounds good to the ears. Santa's 12 little helpers. Santa's 12 little helpers. These little elves that can only die from being heartbroken. And I think one of them shoots the other one with an arrow and they turn into a prince one day. And listen, man, that's all Germanic mythology. That's Germanic mythology. And Santa is what mythology is Santa again? I can't remember which one it is. It's a different one.
It's a Russian one, Saint Nicholas.
Yeah, that's where they got it from. Got it from Saint Nicholas, which is what they've morphed two things into one. Santa Claus, what you see today, is a false, and his reindeers and his sleigh. But obviously, they use Saint Nicholas and put his face, basically used it as Christmas and whatnot. But obviously, we'll go into that next week as well. Or I think Karaf will probably do that on the Monday, right? Probably do that in the history class on the Monday. The history of Saint Nicholas and Christmas. But the sleigh, it's a lie. It goes against the law of physics. It doesn't go as fast as the internet tells you it does. He can't deliver all them presents. Alf's is Germanic mythology. And then also what? You teach your kids more philosophy. You teach your kids about what? The tooth fairy. That, when you lose a tooth, the tooth fairy comes and puts £1 under your pillow. She takes away your tooth and puts £1 under your pillow. You teach your kids that. That's the next mythology, man. They used to tell that story as well, so kids could keep their teeth clean. And then when they lose a tooth, they would be like, the tooth fairy gave me £1. Listen, man, all of that is nonsense. The tooth fairy gave me £1 for losing your teeth. Listen, man, I've seen plenty of people get their teeth knocked out in the streets, man. It wasn't by no tooth fairy. It wasn't by no tooth fairy. It was over. Go ahead. Exactly. Exactly. They didn't get no £1 for losing about 4 or 5 teeth. I've seen people get their teeth knocked out in the streets, man, for running their mouth. Also, the Bible teaches you not to run your mouth, man. They could have kept their teeth. And listen, the teeth fairy didn't give those brothers teeth who got their teeth knocked out in the streets. Go ahead.
Through philosophy and vain deceit.
Philosophy and vain deceit, man. You've been lied to. You've been beguiled, man. They've told you philosophy. They've deceived you, man. They've lied to you, man. And you should be ashamed of yourself for believing that nonsense. You should be ashamed of yourself for believing that nonsense, man.
That's right.
All of this is for the kids. Okay, keep doing it for the kids. You keep doing it, because when Christ returns, he ain't gonna accept that answer. He ain't gonna accept that answer. Give me Genesis chapter 22 and 1. I'm gonna show you a righteous man in the Bible, man. Let me show you a righteous man in the Bible that was so righteous, that didn't bend, that didn't fold, man, that didn't celebrate Christmas. You can't give up Christmas for your kids. I'm going to show you what this strong black man was willing to give up, man, in order to serve God. Let me show you.
Genesis 22 and 1. And it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham. So God tempted Abraham. God wanted to see if Abraham was down with him, man. God wanted to see if Abraham was down with him. Like, God wants to see if you're down with him today, man. God wants to see if you're going to fold and go knock on your kid's door on Christmas Day with a present. Exactly. You have it on your back and pulling it out and surprising them. Listen, man, they don't like you anyway, man. They're just going to take the toy and not like it anyway. Go ahead. You know what's funny? Like, some kids, they forget all of that. Exactly. You try your hardest, and when they get big, like, he didn't do anything. Exactly.
Missing Christmas ain't gonna make any difference to what they already think about you. Go ahead.
Did tempt Abraham and said unto Abraham.
So now the Lord tempt Abraham. Now the Lord's what could be tempting you. Seeing, all right then, this brother logs into classes. He watches the classes. He knows it's wrong to celebrate Christmas. His old woman's invited him around for Christmas. Let's see if he goes. The Lord could be tempting you, man. How do you know, man? You need to keep God's law, statutes, and commandments, man. When you're being tempted, do everything right by God, man, and then you won't lose, man. But if you do the wrong things, obviously you're going to lose, and the Lord's going to be like, you know what? He faked like he was down, man. He made out like he was down, but he ain't really down. Go ahead.
And he said, take now thy son, thine only son.
He said,
Isaac.
take now thy son, thy only son Isaac. And listen, man, people that outside of the Bible read this and say, oh, the Bible's got it's what did they say? It's got contradictions because they say Abraham and many sons. Why does it say take thy only son? You know why it says that? Because the Lord don't give a damn about the other sons, man. The Lord don't give a damn about Ishmael and whatnot. To the Lord, Isaac is Abraham's only son, man. He's Abraham's only son, the only one he cares about, man. That's why it says that, man. Ain't no damn contradiction. If you know how the Lord speaks, you would understand it, but most people don't. Most people try to read this book from a European point of view and they read it. If you have to read this book how black people talk, you have to read this and understand it how black people speak, and then that will answer a lot of the things that you thought was that you didn't understand in the Bible. Or furthermore, just come to class and we'll let you know what it means. Go ahead.
Take thine only son Isaac.
The Lord said, take thine only son Isaac. Go ahead.
Whom thou lovest.
Who now what?
Whom thou lovest.
Listen, the Lord said, take your son who you love dearly, man. The Lord even added it in there, take your son who you love. The Lord threw that extra love in there, man, to see what Abraham's going to do. Because the Lord knows Abraham loves his son. So the Lord said, take your son who you love. Same like we understand that you love your kids, man. We know that you love your kids. Let's see if you're going to be as righteous as Abraham, man. Listen, what the Lord's asking of you is way a million times less than he asked of Abraham, man. The Lord's just asking you to not celebrate Christmas, not celebrate Easter, not celebrate birthdays. That's all the Lord's asking of you. Let's see what the Lord asked of Abraham. Go ahead.
And get thee into the land of Moriah.
And the Lord told him, all right, take your son, take him into the land of Moriah. Go ahead.
And offer him.
Hold on, do what?
And offer him there.
Listen, Abraham must have heard this and must have been trembling, man. Said, offer him there. Listen, you can't even put down Christmas, man.
That's right.
The Lord ain't telling you to kill your son. And you can't even stop doing Christmas for the Lord. The Lord ain't telling you to harm your kids. Listen, Christmas ain't going to kill your kids, man. You not celebrating Christmas ain't going to kill your kids, man. You not bringing them a gift ain't going to stop them from living. It ain't going to stop them from breathing. You don't need to celebrate Christmas, man. The Lord ain't asking much of you. He's just asking you not to celebrate a pagan holiday, not to celebrate none of that nonsense. Go ahead.
And offer him there for a burnt
Offer him what?
Offer him there for a burnt offering.
Abraham must have been thinking, damn, burnt offering. Abraham must have been shaking, thinking, damn. Go ahead.
Upon one of the mountains which I tell thee of.
And the Lord said, take him there, offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I tell you on, meaning the Lord's going to tell him which place he wants him to carry it out. Go ahead.
And Abraham rose up early in the morning.
Listen, man, just imagine hearing that. You would have had a sleepless night, man. But knowing that most of these people wouldn't do it, man, because they ain't really serving God, man. Abraham understood this. You know, Abraham understood. The Lord gave me this son, and the Lord can take this son, man. And if Abraham didn't do what the Lord told him to do, he would have lost his son anyway. And if you don't do what the Lord tells you to do, those kids that you're trying to save so much by celebrating Christmas, you're going to lose those kids anyway.
That's right.
Those kids is not going to be in your life anyway. The only way those kids is going to be in your life is with God by your side, man. But as long as you continue to bow down and do what the world wants you to do and do what's right by that woman, them kids is never going to be in your life. And what's going to happen is what? Someone like you that celebrates Christmas every year and Easter, 10 years time from now, your kids is going to talk about how much they hate you talk about how much you wasn't in their life, talk about how much you was an idiot. And someone like me and Officer Parashi, who don't celebrate Christmas, our kids is going to be talking about how much they love us, how we discipline them well, how we raise them right, how they ain't never ate pork in their life, how we raise them with morals and standards, man. That's what our kids is going to say. They're going to thank God that they had parents like us that raised them with standards, man. And then your kids is going to look at you and turn their nose upon you and put you in the old people's home, man. Guess what? You're doing all this Christmas for your kids. 30, 40 years down the line, you're going to be in an old people's home celebrating Christmas with strangers, man. Your kids ain't even going to come and see you. Honestly, it's best you just serve the Lord before that happens. Go ahead.
In the morning, and Sir Adel his ass, and he took 2 of his young men with him. So
Abraham did what? Jumped on his donkey, took 2 of his young men with him because it was good, getting ready to go to the place. Where's Moriah, yeah. So he went to go there. Go ahead.
And Isaac his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering.
So Isaac, how the wood for the burnt offering. Imagine this. Isaac don't even know that he's going to be on that wood that he's holding. He held that wood. Go ahead.
And rose up and went unto the place of which the Lord had told him.
And listen, Abraham was so righteous that he was willing to serve God with everything, man. He was willing to carry out God's every order, man. Go ahead.
Then on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off.
Then Abraham did what?
Saw the place afar off.
So Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. Imagine in Abraham's mind, it's like this. This is the last time I'm going to see my son alive, man.
That's right.
This is the last time I'm going to see my son. Just imagine being a father. You love your kids, right? Being a father, you love your kids. So obviously this would hurt because you know, all right, then I'm not going to see my kid again. Go ahead. What did she say?
About debts in January, Christmas.
Yes, that's right, man. Everyone's in debt, man. Yeah, and it takes you another year to pay off them. By the time you're paying it off, Christmas has came round again, man. So yes, sis, you're right, man, about that. Go ahead.
All right. Verse 5, and Abraham said unto his young men, abide ye here with the ass.
And Abraham told his young men, you lot stay there, I'm going to go over there. I'm going to go take care of what the Lord told me to do. Go ahead.
And I and the lad will go yonder and worship and come again to you.
So Abraham told him, wait there. Him and his son was going to go over there. Go ahead.
And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac, his son.
Listen, man. Abraham was a rider, man. Abraham was down for the Lord. Abraham took the wood and laid it upon his son, man. Imagine, you've seen your son from when he's come out the womb, heard his first words, everything, man. You've seen him, you've raised him, you've been there. You've been there, man. You've done everything with him. You've taught him this, taught him that, held him, seen him grow. It's your son, you love him, right? You love him, obviously. You would die for your kids. You love them. Let's see what Abraham was willing to do. Most black people can't even give up Christmas for the Lord, man. Abraham was willing to give up his son for the Lord, man. Abraham was willing to give up his son for the Lord to show how much he loved God, man. To show how much he was willing to serve God. He was willing to give up what he loved because he loved God more than what he loved, man. Like the Bible says, Yahushua said what? He that put a mother or daughter or son before me ain't worthy of me. Abraham showed his worth right here, man. Abraham showed his worth, showed that he was worthy, man. Go ahead.
And he took the fire in his hands and the knife, and they went both of them.
And listen, man, together. Abraham took the fire in his hands and the knife. Go ahead.
And Isaac spake unto Abraham, his father.
And Isaac spoke to his father, man. Imagine you got a son and you've heard his first words and, you know, he's speaking to you. Go ahead.
And said, my father. And he said, here I am, my son.
Imagine this, man. This is your son. You love him dearly. You know what you're about to do to him, and your son ain't got a clue, and your son's speaking to you. Listen, man. If Abraham can do this for his son, you've got no excuse for why you can't put down Christmas for yours, man.
That's right.
You've got no excuse to why you can't put down Easter for your daughter and birthdays. You've got no excuse, man. You've got no excuse. The Bible says everything was written aforetime for our learning. You're supposed to read these stories in this Bible and learn from them, man. You're supposed to read this and learn from it and be like, well, Abraham had it a lot harder than me, and Abraham was about to do what the Lord required of him, man. How about I do what the Lord requires of me?
That's right.
How about I refuse to celebrate Christmas? How about I don't care how the world's going to look at me? How about I don't care how my woman's going to look at me? Imagine Abraham would have to go home to his woman and say, yep, I killed Isaac. That's what Abraham. Abraham would have had to go home and say that to his woman. Abraham didn't care about none of that, man. Abraham was serving God, man. Abraham wanted to do what God required. It's only right you do what God requires. To hell with that woman telling you, oh, bring them a Christmas present. Tell her, oh, I'm not bringing no Christmas present, man. Go ahead.
And he said, behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering?
Listen, man. Isaac knew about burnt offerings and whatnot. You know how Isaac knew? Because what? He learned from his father Abraham, and this seen his father do previous burnt offerings. So he said, I see the wood and the knife and the fire, but I don't see the animal for the burnt offering. I don't see the animal what we're going to offer up. Go ahead.
Verse 8. And Abraham said, my son, God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering.
Listen, man. Abraham was a rider with the Most High, man. Go ahead.
So they went, both of them, together, and they came to the place which God had told him of. And Abraham built an altar there and laid the wood in order and bound Isaac,
he did
his
what?
son.
He did what?
Bound Isaac, his son.
Listen, man. He bound his son, man. He bound his son to the wood, man. To where the animal would usually go. And you mean to tell me you can't not give up Christmas? You can't not give up Easter? Abraham gave up a load of stuff, man. Go ahead. Abraham was willing to give up his son who he loves. Go ahead.
And laid him on the altar upon the wood.
Listen, man. Abraham put his son upon the altar, man. Go ahead.
And Abraham.
Listen, we ain't asking you to put your son on the altar. We're just telling you don't buy them Christmas presents. That's all we're asking. That's all the Lord's asking is don't buy them Christmas presents. Look how, listen, your one is easy to do, man. Abraham was rough and Abraham still did it. Imagine if you was in the place of Abraham, you wouldn't do it, man. You would disobey God like how you do when you want to celebrate Christmas. Go ahead.
And Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife.
Abraham, so I was in the altar. Abraham stretched his hand like this, meaning Abraham was about to carry out what the Lord told him to do, man. You need to carry out what the Lord's telling you to do. The Lord's just telling you don't be celebrating Christmas. Don't celebrate Easter. Don't be a homosexual. Don't eat pork, shrimp, crab, lobster. That's all the Lord's telling you to do. The Lord ain't telling you to tie someone to some wood and raise a knife to them. The Lord ain't telling you to do that, man. The things that the Lord's asking of you is light things, easy things, and you still can't do them. Which lets you know, which lets you know, you Christians is disgusting and should never compare yourself to Abraham, man.
Right.
You should never, listen, you shouldn't even be allowed to say Abraham's name, man.
That's right.
It should be a sin for you to even say Abraham's name, because you could never do what Abraham was going to do. You can't even give up pork, meanwhile Abraham was going to give up his son. You can't even give up Easter, meanwhile Abraham was what? Going to give up his son. Go ahead.
And took the knife.
And another thing is this. You know what else makes this story even more rough? Sarah was barren before all this, man. Sarah was barren, man. And then the Lord opened the womb so she could have a son. So imagine Abraham was meant to go back to. Imagine if Abraham carried. If the Lord made Abraham carry it out, Abraham would have to. You think wasn't in Abraham's mind like oh, he's gonna have to go back to Israel and say, yep, the son that we waited for so long, yep, I slew him on the altar. Listen, man, Abraham didn't care about what every other people thought about him, man. He didn't care about what people round about thought about him. He didn't care that everybody thought that he was crazy because the Lord told him what, leave the land of your fathers. He didn't care about what people in that land thought about him, because you know how people like to bicker. People would have been quick to say, oh, you see that man Abraham? He started saying God's with him, then he killed his son on the altar. You know how people like to talk? That's what they would have been saying. Abraham didn't care about what they thought about him. Same like, you shouldn't care about what people think about you when you don't celebrate Christmas, when you don't celebrate Easter, when you don't take place in these nativities, all this nonsense, in all this festivity, when you don't go to these work Christmas parties. Who cares what your colleagues think about you if you don't go to the work Christmas party? You don't have to tell them why you ain't going. Just say, "Nah, I'm not coming." Like, obviously, your job is just by your slavery is just your slavery. You don't need to give people breakdowns on your slavery. The Bible says, "Be wise as a serpent." That's the last thing you want to be doing, giving these devils a breakdown of, giving them breakdowns at your slavery. They want to celebrate Christmas. Fine, let them go ahead and do it. You're just there to go and get your minimum wage and then go home, man. You're just there to slave for the day, get your minimum wage and go home. You don't need to break down nothing to them. Because before you know it, you're breaking down stuff to them and you get yourself the sack. All because what? You wasn't wise, man. You didn't know when to speak, when not to speak. There's a time and a place. Go ahead.
To slay his son, verse 11. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven and said, Abraham.
Hold on, the angel of the Lord did what?
Called him out of heaven.
So listen, the angel of the Lord is what? Calling out of heaven, and Abraham's in the air with the knife ready to thrust it. Go ahead.
Abraham.
Listen, you had to call Abraham 2 times, man. Listen, you had to call Abraham more than once, man, because Abraham was so focused on doing what the Lord said. Go ahead.
And he said, Here I am.
And Abraham said, Here I am. Go ahead.
And he said, Lay not thy hand upon the lad.
He said what?
Lay not thy hand upon the lad.
He said, Lay not thy hand upon the lad, man. Abraham was about to do it, man. The Lord tempted Abraham to see if Abraham was going to follow his orders or not. And Abraham was about to follow that order to a T, man. And because Abraham was going to follow that order, guess what the Lord did? Told him, don't lay your hand upon the lad. If you follow the Lord's orders, guess what will happen? The Lord might even give you custody of them kids, man. The Lord will allow you to see them kids. I know you miss your kids and she says you can only see them on Christmas. And you say, oh, this is the only opportunity I got because I won't get to see my kids again. Listen, you going around for Christmas, yeah, you're right. You won't get to see them again. But you serving the Lord, you can be like Abraham, spend the rest of your life seeing your child, man.
That's right.
Because if Abraham didn't do what the Lord required, the Lord would have did what? Took his child anyway. But because Abraham obeyed God, the Lord told him, lay not your hand upon the lad. Go ahead.
Neither do thou anything unto him.
Neither what?
Neither do thou anything unto him.
So listen, man. The Lord called down and said, don't do this. Don't do nothing to him. Go ahead.
Alright, so neither do thou anything unto him, for I now know that thou fearest God.
Hold on, because what?
Because I now know that thou fearest God.
Listen, man, the Lord will make your life a lot easier when you fear him, man. The Lord will put things in place, man, when you fear him. The Lord will protect you when you fear him, man. When you fear the Lord, you'll get that privilege, man. But when you don't, obviously your life is going to be what? Upside down. You celebrating Christmas. You celebrating Easter. That's how your life's going to be, man. This is why you need to put down these pagan holidays, man. You need to put them all down, man. Go ahead. What did you do? The food drive? Oh, I didn't. No, sir.
Thou fearest God, saying, Thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son.
Seeing thou have what?
Not withheld thy son, thine only son
from
me.
The Bible says, seeing thou has not withheld thine son, thy only son from me. You get me? The Lord was pleased with Abraham, man, because Abraham carried out what he told him to do and so forth. Go ahead.
And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in a thicket.
And listen, man, behind him there's a ram caught in a thicket by the horns. Meaning what? He carried out the order, man. What the Lord told him to do. The Lord told him stop, because the Lord wanted to see if Abraham was, fake, or see if Abraham was going to carry out his every order. Abraham was about to carry it out, and then the Lord told him, "Oh, don't do it. Go ahead."
And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering in the stead of his son.
And then Abraham did what? Because he served God, the Lord gave him a ram. Now, if Abraham didn't serve God, the Lord wouldn't have gave him a ram, and he would have lost Isaac anyway. And because of that, Abraham's a great man who we're reading about right now, man. Because Abraham what? Followed orders. Abraham served God, didn't celebrate these pagan holidays. Abraham followed everything God told him to do. And this is why we're reading about Abraham right now, man. Because what? Righteous men in this Bible, they're honored. And this is why when you open the Bible, there's books. All these men have what? All these men, their name is in the Bible. Whereas your pastor, his name ain't going to be in the Bible because he's evil. Obviously, he just falls under Judas. When you read about Judas, that's your pastor. That's your pastor and so forth. They fall under that name. Righteous men in here, we strive to be like the prophets of old, man. That's what we striving to be, man. And Abraham was a righteous man. Abraham was a great righteous example. Abraham was a brother who was righteous and an example who every black man should want to be. Go ahead.
And Abraham called the name of that place Jehovah Jireh.
Go ahead.
And as it is said to this day, in the mount of the Lord it shall be seen.
That's it on that. Drop that. Give me Matthew chapter 7 and verse 13. So Abraham, man, Abraham put all on the line, man. And you're just scared that you can't see your kid if you don't buy him a Christmas present. You're just scared that you can't see him again if you don't buy him a Christmas present. Listen, man, stop being so silly, man. Abraham was willing to what? Kill his kid, man. And you're just scared to not buy yours a Buzz Lightyear toy that cost about a tenner anyway, because you ain't got no money anyway, because you got fired from your job and you know your life's a mess, and the mother your kid's mother hates you anyway and whatnot. Listen, man, stop being so what's it called? What did the brother say? He said
About Hanukkah.
Basically, Hanukkah is when what? The Greeks came, took over, destroyed our temple, our altars, broke everything down, tried to get everybody to what? Do what they're doing now. You see, like now, how the whole world celebrates Christmas and Easter and whatnot. Back then, the Greeks tried to get everyone to follow their customs, their culture. They wanted to get us to forsake our laws, to worship their God, to pay taxes to them, to do whatever they wanted us to do. And then they ruled over us horribly. And then what happened is, it tells you that wicked men went out of Israel and made a covenant with the heathen. So they made an agreement with them that, okay, then we'll do your laws. We'll keep the king's laws. I think it was Antiochus. Was Antiochus or one of them? Yeah, it was Antiochus. And then they said they would keep his laws and whatnot. They said that they would forsake ours. And then you had fake Israelites at the time that did what? Started to sacrifice pigs on the altar. And then there was a brother by the name of Judas Maccabees. What's his father's name? Matthias. Matthias. I was lucky. Most black people said Matthias. But here his father Matthias. And then he had sons, and he fought valiantly for the laws of God. And he said, you know what? What is the point of us being alive if we're not keeping our own laws and customs? So he didn't bow down to the Greeks. Same like Commanding John and YAHANNA don't bow down to the Greeks today. Same like we don't bow down to them today. Same thing Judas Maccabees and them did back then. We're doing right now in the I.S.U.P.K. And then what happened is we then some of our brothers did what? Some of these fake Israelites did what? Didn't want to follow the leadership at the time. They wanted to do their own thing. So then the Greeks came and murdered all of them on the Sabbath because they didn't fight back on the Sabbath. Because those Israelites back then is the same ones who don't use the microwave on the Sabbath today. The same ones who don't, what else don't they do? Who don't cook on the Sabbath? Who else, what don't they do? who don't shower on the Sabbath, who don't go to the gym on the Sabbath, who just sit in the dark on the Sabbath because they believe that the Sabbath day is a day where you can't do anything. That's what fake Israelites believe. The Sabbath is a day where you can't move an inch, where if your back's itching, you can't scratch it, your head's itching, you can't scratch it. They see that as work. To them, that is work. Bearing in mind, they're not getting a paycheck for it. So how the hell is it work? Work is something you get a paycheck for. So that's what they did. And then Judas Maccabees and his sons was like, we have to fight. We're fighting on the Sabbath, because if we don't, we're all gonna die like they did. And then that's just it in brief. And then basically we overthrew them, got our temple back, built up Jerusalem again, got rid of all the wicked out of Israel out of the land and so forth. But we're gonna go into it in depth on Friday. So just log into class Friday, 7 p.m. because we're gonna go into it Friday, 7 p.m. The whole thing. We're gonna get how it started, the history on it, and whatnot. And we're gonna show you how even Christ celebrated it as well. We're going to get that out of the New Testament where Christ celebrated it also. Because you hear some people say, what, the Apocrypha is not authentic. If it's not authentic, why was Christ celebrating the feast? Exactly. It must be authentic. Go ahead.
Matthew once.
It was Matthew 7 and 13.
Matthew 7 and 13. Enter ye in at the straight gate.
Says what?
Enter ye in at the straight gate.
Enter ye in at the straight gate. We have to enter in at this straight gate. This gate is straight, it's small and narrow. Not everyone's going to get through this straight gate. Go ahead.
For wide is the gate.
For wide is the gate. What's wide? Something open, something big, something wide. And on this earth, the way which is wide is what? Where you can just do whatever you want. Like, and in the Christian church, that's the wide gate. You can do whatever you want. Eat as much pork as you want. Be with women of every nation. Be a sinner. It's wide. And it gets wider and wider. LGBTQ, the community is welcome there. A man changing into a woman's welcome there. So that's wide. Whereas here, it's narrow. Because ain't no LGBT coming through here. Ain't no homosexuality coming through here. Ain't no Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving coming through here. Go ahead.
And broad is the way.
And broad is the way. Go ahead.
That leadeth.
Broad is the way that leadeth, meaning what? These churches and these disgusting places where you go, these disgusting religions that you're in, those is broad and those lead to the way of destruction. And this is why in those places, all you see is people dying, or all you see is horrible things happening. The streets is what? Broad. This is why what? A 14-year-old was stabbed to death. Do you see that 14-year-old look like a little kid? He looked like a little kid, man. He looks like a baby, man. He was stabbed to death. Why? Because the Christian church failed him, man. You can't even pull it down to his parents. I'll put it down to the Christian church, man.
That's right.
Christian church fails black people. His mom moved him from Nottingham because of gangs to London for him to join the gang in London and get stabbed to death in London, which means what? They should have sent him into the I.S.U.P.K, man.
That's right.
They should have sent him here and he wouldn't be out causing trouble or whatnot. And you can't even pull it down to him. He's a kid that ain't been grown right. And the church has failed black people, man. While we singing and dancing with tambourines, there's people being stabbed to death on the streets, man. Listen, how's giving a young black man a tambourine going to stop him? Listen, that effeminacy, man, that's going to turn him gay, man. You're giving him a tambourine to sing and dance. What you got to remember is black men ain't soft. Naturally, black men, we ain't soft, man. Black men is strong and masculine. And then you emasculate them when you give them a tambourine,
right?
When you give them a trumpet, when you give them a saxophone, whatever the hell that is, a saxophone, and you give them some nonsense like that. Giving black men that just makes them weak, man. And in church, they have these they have their little ceremonies where they say things like, "Oh, everybody hold hands." Imagine that you go to a place and you got 5 big men all holding hands in the line. Like they're holding hands in the line. Listen, man, we don't do that in here, man. Holding hands in the line. That's the kind of stuff that they do in the Christian church, but not in here. And that way is broad, man. That way leads to destruction. And this is why we die so much and our kids die so much, and we die from all types of disease, because broad is the way to destruction. Go ahead.
Broad is the way that leadeth to destruction.
And that way leads to destruction. Outside of this door leads to destruction. This is why you look at people's life in the world and it's destroyed, man. You look at the family home, the structure, it's destroyed. Because why? The way it's been broad, and people go the broad way, and the broad way means what? You can do whatever feels good. You can do whatever you like. Whereas in here, you can't do whatever you like, man.
That's right.
You can't do whatever feels good to you. You have to make sure what you're doing is lawful. You have to make sure you're keeping laws, statutes, commandments, man. That's what you have to do. And the reason why that way is broad is because it's easy. Now, everything which is too easy ain't good. Everything which is too easy ain't good. And you should have knew that from when you realized that, when you found out the first baby wasn't yours, so luck, yeah. Yeah. You should have realized everything too easy ain't always good. You should have learned from the first time, from when that paternity test came back and said it's not yours. Go ahead.
And any there be which go in thereat.
And there's many which go that broad way, man. And it's down to the Christian church. It's down to that pastor that runs George Street Church. So you mean to tell me that's the biggest church in Newtown, and it's expensive, and it's got like 3 floors, and when people have funerals there, there's a top row and a bottom row, and it's all nice and lavish. And you mean to tell me black men are just killing one another around the corner from it? Black men from Newtown make up one of the biggest gangs in Birmingham. You mean to tell me when the church is meant to be the house of God? I don't see your pastor fixing that problem. I don't see your pastor walking through Newtown giving out flyers, because your pastor's scared and he knows they don't respect him and they probably beat him up. Whereas, where do you find us? In the ghettos, man. Listen, our school's in the ghetto, man. We put our school in the ghetto for black and Hispanics to come, man. We didn't put this in where? We didn't put this in Sutton Coldfield. We didn't put this in King's Standing. We put this in the ghetto, man. In Hockley, man. B18, man. That's where we put it, man. We put this in the midst of where everybody is, where this is in the middle of all the ghettos, man. So every brother from every ghetto can get his behind into this school, man.
That's right.
We come here, man. And this is where we are, in the midst of the ghetto. We ain't hiding. Listen, when we at camp, the so-called people that you look up to as gangsters, they're scared of us saluting us, and you see them, innit, when they come up. They're scared of us saluting. You see them. The people that's causing terror and wreaking havoc on the streets, they have to bow respect to us, man. They give us that respect. They ain't giving you pastors that respect. You know why? Because they know that your pastor's nonsense, man. They see us, and you know what they see in us? They see in us that we real, man. That's what they see. And that's why they bow their head and show respect. Listen, one time I seen a man that's meant to be a gangster. I seen him give a donation. He's meant to be a gangster, bearing in mind. I seen him put a donation in the bucket, man. He gave a donation, man, which lets you know, man. No, listen, all of this is, we got the tapes as well, if you don't believe me. It's all on the footage. Go ahead.
Because straight is the gate, and narrow is the way.
Straight is the gate, and narrow is the way. The Lord wants you to go through that straight gate, man. Straight is you keeping God's laws, statutes, and commandments. Go ahead.
Which lead unto life.
Which what?
Which lead unto life.
Which leads unto life, man. Keeping God's commandments leads unto life. Like, you take that path. Sometimes you have to walk that path alone. Sometimes your rib ain't gonna walk that path with you. Go ahead.
Is that closing for education?
That's Purim. I think everyone gets the two mixed up. Yeah, Purim's the one where it's a 2-day feast. No, it's just the 1 day. All right. Go ahead.
And few there be that find it.
And what?
Few there be that find it.
Few there be that find it. You know why? Because this walk ain't easy. So only a few people find it, man. You have to be on this walk, and you have to stay strong, man. That's what you have to do. It says few, there'll be few that find it, man. Now, the Christian church, everyone can find that, man. But this walk, there's few that find it, man. Few people find it, man. I remember one time, Years ago, when it was just us three brothers doing camp, man. Just three of us, man. Now we got more brothers coming in, most high in Christ. But go ahead.
Beware of false prophets.
Beware of what?
False prophets.
Anyone prophesying to you about Christmas and celebrating it and it's Jesus' birthday, they're a false prophet, man. Like I said, December 25th is not even Caesar Borgia's birthday, man. His birthday is September, man. Which means your Christmas was in September for you people that worship that image. That image. Go ahead.
Which come to you in sheep's clothing.
And your pastor comes to you in sheep's clothing, man. He comes to you saying, "Oh, pay this, and God will open the." What did they say? Open the windows of heaven. Yeah. Pay this, and God will open the windows of heaven. So you give up all your money, and then now you can't pay your rent, you can't pay your electric, and now the pastor's driving around in a brand new car, man. He's got a nice brand new car. He's brought his ribber car off of your money, and now you're just broke. Yeah, go ahead.
What's funny is the windows of heaven doesn't mean what it doesn't even mean what he thinks it means.
He thinks it. Go ahead.
They're to open the windows of heaven. Of course, people had wheat and don't bother things, and you said the Lord made sure that it rained on what that's the windows of heaven.
But he makes it. Go ahead.
But you mean like he makes it like windows of heaven is you getting a new job and all that.
And a car and a mansion and your life being sorted out. You getting a car, you owning your own business and all that nonsense. Go ahead.
But inwardly, they are ravening wolves.
Inwardly, that's what they are, man. They just want your money, man. They're wolves in sheep's clothing. They come to you all nice or soft, act like they wouldn't harm you, when really behind closed doors, this man's trying to have an affair with your wife. This man's trying to get you kicked out of the house. One time, a pastor was saying to a woman, if your husband don't come to this church, you have to get rid of him. And guess what happened? She got rid of him, man. And then later on, guess what happened? The pastor was going around to the house every day. He was going around every day. And before you know it, she got rid of that man. And then apparently one time, the pastor came onto her and then she kicked him out. And she had a son, which was about 25. And the son couldn't believe that the pastor came onto his mom and chose to go with the pastor. As in disowned his mom to go with the pastor. And which says, Christianity is one hell of a drug, man. It's one hell of a drug. Listen, that's a true story, man. And it's a brother I know personally. As soon as we set up a radio show, I'm going to see if I can get him here to tell that story. I need him here to tell that story. Listen, I'm going to make him tell that story uninterrupted. I need to ask him, so why did you go with the pastor and you knew that he tried it on with him? I need to find out. I'm still trying to see where his head's at. I'm just going to, get him here to tell that story one day. Go ahead.
Ye shall know them by their fruits.
You shall know them by their fruits, by what they produce. And when you look at the Christian church, look what it produces. Every gang member started off as a Christian or a Muslim, man. Every gang member started off as one of those. Every sexual started off as a Christian, man. He started off in church, started off singing in the choir. He started off dancing with a saxophone. Started off dancing with a tambourine. Is it a tambourine? I can't remember what it's called. Is that the one that's got like the little silver things on the side and you tap it? Every one of them started off singing songs like "This Little Light of Mine" and listen, what light? They say, "This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine." Listen, the only thing I see you showing is homosexuality, man. That's the thing you're showing, man. That's the only thing they're showing, man. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Listen, you homosexuality, we don't want to see that nonsense, man. Go ahead.
Do men gather grapes of the horn or figs of the thistles?
Do men gather grapes and thorns together? No, you don't, man. You don't gather the two together. Go ahead.
Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit. Every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, man.
And in here, this is a good tree, man, that brings forth good fruit. And if not, if there is no good fruit in here, guess what will happen? That person will be out of here, man. They'll be out of here. They'll be out of here doing whatever the hell they want. Go ahead.
But a corrupt tree.
And listen, man. You religions is corrupt trees, man. They're corrupt from the root, man. They're corrupt from the root. So what do you think is going to grow on the branches, man? Things which is corrupt. Go ahead.
Bringeth forth evil fruit.
And listen, man, the Christian church has brought forth the evilest fruit on the face of this earth, man.
That's right.
They brought forth the evilest fruit on the face of this earth. Just look. All these killers is Christian. Rose West, those serial killers, Christians. Even Hitler, I'm sure Hitler was what was he? Yeah, exactly, man. All of these are Christians, man. The KKK, Christians. All of them are Christians, man. And they bring forth some evil fruit. Just look at the most evilest people on the face of the earth. The Christians or Muslims, because what? They bring forth evil fruit, man. Because those religions ain't from God. It's nothing to do with God. Go ahead.
Even the so-called Brexit campaign, the people that support it, there's a video online. Someone went inside and just, it's like they were just like, they had a conversation with them. And they're like, well, Brexit has got nothing to do with race. On that camera, they're racist, like, hey, the Asians and the blacks. And look, they go to the Catholic Church.
See,
same people.
it's the thing, man. Because they produce evil fruit, man, and they hate black people, man. These religions ain't for black people. And with that, we up on the time. We're going to do the announcements and the Lord's Prayer, and then we out of here. Plug into class tomorrow. After Prussia will be here tomorrow. Also, Friday, the feast day dedication. Come on down, 7 p.m. We're going to have the food. We're going to have the drink. We're going to have everything, man. And I'm going to show you what you're supposed to celebrate. You're going to find out what you're supposed to celebrate on Friday, man. Come on down to that, man. Friday, 7 p.m. 394 Lodge Road, B18, 5PW. We're going to drink to the death of our enemies, man. Because guess what? They drink to the death of us. Right. They party and dance when we die. So on Friday, you're going to see us dancing as well. You're going to see me do a 1-2 step in for the death of our enemies, man. So with that, log into class tomorrow, and I'll see you on Friday. And Sabbath service on Saturday. It's all going on. Come on down, man.
All right, that was a powerful class. Give Officer Donovan a hand. We are the I.S.U.P.K. Started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General YAHANNA. Rule for a new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which brother and sister will court each other. After these 6 months, the brother and sister will get permission from the heads to tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3:8-10 means 10 in the Hebrew Ma'ashra. 10% of any increase you receive from the Lord. Priest fund, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocations is Hanukkah, Friday the 20th of December. Address 394 Lodge Road, postcode B18 5PW. Then we got a lecture the week after by Officer Karafia. Great Britain isn't great. You know what I mean? So make sure you attend these events also as well. All Akim and Aqua, check the bulletin board in the hallway and check all I.S.U.P.K social media. So Facebook, Instagrams, YouTube, everything that we have. If anyone wants to become a trooper in the school, to start with wearing all black boots, shirts, pants, headband, and scarves. And with that, I'm Mariam, and we're going to rise and face the east and say the Lord's Prayer. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Hayah, Shamkar, Yahweh, Malakwaka, Kaba'ah, Ratzaika, Hayah, Aisha, Baratza, Kawar, Hayah, Bashemayim, Nathanawa, Nakam, Cow, Yuwam, Wasalaknawa, Kabawaknawa, Kasalaknawa, Kabawakinawa, Wala'a, Sabaya Ayanawa, Walasayawan, Abol, Habushainawa, Mayan, Right, Kaya, Amen.
In the English, our Father,
Our Father,
art in heaven,
which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy
Thy
name.
kingdom come,
Thy kingdom
thy
come,
will be done,
thy will be done
in earth,
in earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in
Give
heaven.
us this day
Give us this day
our daily bread,
our daily
and
bread.
forgive us our debts,
And give us our debts
as we forgive our debtors,
as we forgive our debtors.
and lead us not
And lead us not
into temptation,
into temptation,
but deliver us
but deliver us
from evil.
from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
For thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and the power,
and the glory,
and the glory,
forever.
forever.
So be it.
So be it. And with that, we're going to give one courtesy salute. Men of Israel, I'm Madim Shabbat, I'm Madim Barak, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai Barakatah,
Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shabbat Kafam.
Yad Yom Atah, class dismissed.